Ms. Lindsay, you say that after years of lies from your mother and uncertainty about who your father is, you believe you finally found him.
Yes, Your Honor.
You say everyone in town, including his family, knows Mr. Dannenbrink is your father, and you intend to prove that today. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
Mr. Dannenbrink.
Yes, Your Honor.
You admit to having a sexual relationship with Ms. Lindsay's mother, but say there is no way you're her biological father.
That's right, Your Honor. I met her, and we just had like a hit-and-run situation. She disappeared on me, and then we got back together again, and a couple of days later, she went her way, and it just kept on for years that way. And there's no way she could be my daughter, Your Honor.
So, Ms. Lindsay, what do you mean everyone in town knows that he's your father? What do you mean by that?
Your Honor, okay, so about 35 years ago, my mom does admit to having a child with Mr. Dannenbrink. And
how many years ago?
About 35, around there.
Okay.
And when I was about 16 years old, an ex of Mr. Dannenbrink's came to my house and accused me of being the child that they had had together. And when I had asked my mother about that, she told me no, that it wasn't true.
You were 16?
Yes.
And an ex of Mr. Dannenbrink's comes to your house?
Yes.
And says, you're the child that your mother had with Mr. Dannenbrink?
Yes, Your Honor.
In other words, the ex thinks you're the child that came in between her and Mr. Dannenbrink?
Yes, Your Honor.
When she said this to you, what did you say?
Well, at first I was like, what? You're wrong. There's no way. And I came to my mother and I talked to her about it, and she told me no, that he was not my father, that another man that she had told me was my dad.
She said this other man is your father, but you'd never met that man?
No, I still haven't, so I don't know who that is.
Okay, proceed.
So about 4 or 5 years ago, we all pretty much met up again in church, and I knew that Mr. Dannenbrink was the person that I had thought, or at least was accused of being the child of, but I was too nervous to approach him for pretty much rejection. And so I just left it alone. And then my mother and him had started talking again, and we became more close, I guess you would say. We lived right next door to each other, and we started having barbecues together and spent a few holidays together and things like that.
The man next door, your neighbor.
Yes.
You believe he's your biological father.
Yes.
But you've never said anything to him.
Not really.
Wow. Ms. Hampton?
Yes.
What was the nature of your relationship with Mr. Dannenbrink? Were you just dating, committed?
Your Honor, this was like in the late 70s, and we dated off and on, and I was involved with somebody else, and he was involved with somebody else. 5 years ago, we met back up and started having conversation and platonic relationship. We're best of friends.
So, Mr. Dannenbrink, did you know about the pregnancy?
I did not, Your Honor. She never told me that she was pregnant. She never told me I even had a child.
You didn't
Your
tell
Honor,
him you were
Your
pregnant?
Honor, I had no reason to tell him because he's not the father.
So you were confident of that?
Yes, I am 100%.
But were you sleeping with Mr. Dannenbrink during the window of conception?
Not as far as I know. I believe that I got pregnant between June and July.
What are you holding, Ms. Lindsay?
I'm holding a calendar.
Jerome, will you please hand me her evidence? Thank you.
You're welcome.
What does this calendar outline?
This calendar shows, for one, the day that I was born. And if you count back, if I was born full term, the conception would be between May and June. And the doctors did say that I was born a month premature, which puts my due date at March 11th, which my mother would be right at that time. However, I had no health problems when I was born. I was born at a normal weight.
No,
and
Your Honor, she was born at 5 1/4 pounds.
All of your children have been small.
She was premature.
Mr. Dannenbrink?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you agree with the dates set forth on this calendar?
I really couldn't tell you because back then it was hectic. I mean, I had so much going on. That
it was hectic.
Yes. It was back in the 70s, so I'm sure you understand what.
No, I was just a kid then, so.
I did a lot of drugs back then, so I really couldn't tell you.
Oh, Oh, so hectic has many levels.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh,
Yes, Your
so
Honor.
physically and mentally hectic.
Yes, Your Honor.
So is it safe to say there was a lot of sex going on during that time?
Yes, Your Honor.
Much of which you may not have a full recollection.
Correct, Your Honor.
How long did your sexual relationship with Miss Hampton last?
We got together. We were together for maybe a couple of weeks, and then she disappeared. And then we meet again a few years later. So it was like that.
So you all just were kind of sex partners?
Yes.
Just
Correct, Your Honor.
Whatever.
Yes, Your Honor.
I don't know, what's the word? Friends with benefits.
Friends with benefits.
But were y'all friends? I don't even get the friend part here.
Yeah.
2 weeks. 2 weeks.
Bump and go.
Bump and go.
Yeah.
Okay, Jerome. Is that a legal term that we just created here at
created it,
Paternity
yeah.
Court? Okay. So, Ms. Lindsay, your mother's saying that Mr. Dannenbrink is not your biological father.
Right.
What leads you to not believe your mother?
The doctors did say that I was born a month early, but they also said that I was going to be a boy the entire time she was pregnant with me. So they could have been wrong. Second thing, my mom does admit to having a child with Mr. Dannenbrink. Throughout my life, though, the dates have kind of changed a little bit. I remember at one time it was that she was an older sister. Then I remember at another time she was a younger sister than me. And she was stillborn at birth.
Hold on now.
Your Honor.
Wait a minute. So you've been told a story
Yes.
by your mother that she did have a child with Mr. Dannenbrink.
Yes.
You were told this child passed away
Yes, at birth.
Yes.
at
Your Honor.
birth.
Yes, Your Honor. I had a stillborn.
And was that Mr. Dannenbrink's child?
Yes, Your Honor.
She
For-
never said nothing to me about that.
No. I
So-
admit that. I did not.
You never mentioned it to him?
No.
Miss Lindsay, I'm looking at your face. It doesn't seem like you're believing a lot of your mother's testimony.
I don't.
Why?
She says that she had this child. I've never seen the papers, although I've asked a few times. And on top of that one, I've went to the public records place. There's no proof of her birth or death.
I don't know why there wouldn't be any record of her birth and death, but I do have an autopsy report.
Have you seen this report?
No.
What I don't understand, Ms. Lindsay, is why would your mother lie about this?
Because it's not the first time. She didn't technically lie about another brother, but she didn't tell me about another brother. She got pregnant and gave him up for adoption. It went through social media that he found me. And I'm like, wait, what are you talking about? You're not my brother. And I called my mom at that time and I said, I have another brother? And she's like, oh, well, I thought he died. And I was like, what? And
Wait a minute, you thought he died?
It was complicated, Your Honor. I had gotten pregnant by a man that was married, not knowing that he was married. The agreement was that he was going to take the baby because I financially and mentally could not handle having another baby.
But you thought he had passed away?
Yes, Your Honor, because that's what my mother and the doctors had told me.
So, Ms. Lindsay, even if we have several stories that lead us to believe maybe your mother is not being completely forthright,
right.
why? What is her motivation? What is the reason why she would lie and say Mr. Dannenbrink is not your biological father if he could be?
I don't know. I'm not my mom, so I don't know exactly what goes through her head. I have children, and I don't lie to any of them, so I don't understand why.
Are you at the
would.
point now
But I-
where you just feel like you've caught your mom in so many lies that you don't even know
Yeah, I
why
don't.
she lies, you just know she does?
No, Your Honor, I don't.
So what was your childhood like growing up? All of these stories. What is this like for you?
Very crazy as a child. I had a big hole and I filled it with a lot of things that probably weren't the right things to fill it with. I'm still searching for that father figure. I had a stepdad at one point that abandoned me as well, so.
And so you had a relationship
Yes,
with your stepfather.
for a small time until he had his own child with my mom. And then I still was the stepchild. So,
And so you're basically alone in all of this.
kind of, sort of. I mean, I had my friends for a small time, which is kind of funny. I had one friend that was like my best friend, and it just happened to be his son.
Wait, that could potentially be your brother.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But you all were good friends?
Yes.
Just friends, I hope.
Yes, Your Honor. That goes through my head,
Yes.
trust and believe me. Not knowing exactly who my dad is, it does go through my head as to which ones I've dated might have been. So I just try not to think about that.
Wow, yeah. Listen, we can chuckle about it, but the truth is, if you don't know who your father is,
Right.
you could have dated your brother.
Yes.
And it's just that simple.
Yeah.
And so you have a photo that you've submitted to the court.
Yes. That is his son and myself.
Do you see a resemblance?
A little bit.
Just a little?
Yeah, because I mean, I do look like my mom a lot.
Mr. Dannenbrink, do you see a resemblance?
I do not, Your Honor.
Okay. So, Ms. Lindsay, what's your relationship like with Mr. Dannenbrink right now?
I want to say he's kind of like a father figure to a point. We kind of joke about him being my dad and me being his daughter.
How do you
And
joke about it?
Just randomly, like people will say, oh, you guys look alike or something like that and things like that. Or he'll say, oh, good morning, my beautiful daughter or something. And I've never had that before, so that's good.
Does he know your children?
Yes, all 4 of my children. They don't have grandpas that are alive. So he has graciously told my children that they're more than welcome to call him grandpa.
Oh.
That's right.
And they do.
You've submitted a letter to the court about how much this truly hurts you. Will you please read that letter?
Yes, I can. I said, 35 years I have walked through this life wondering who I am, whose blood runs through me. Who do I look like? Where do I get my eye color from? Where do I get my nose? These are just a few questions that have plagued my mind. The worst ones, though, are the ones that still hurt me. The questions like, why did you leave? Did you even know about me? If you did, would it have even changed anything? And would you have been proud of me? Why was I not good enough?
Take your time, honey.
From the moment that I can remember, I've always really wanted just my dad.
That was honest and true and real and plain. You know, as I sit in this chair day after day, a lot of times people will say, well, it's gone on 30-something years. I mean, why aren't you past this? When I say it was honest and true and simple and plain, because it was the spirit of a child. And it is your inner child. It's that child in you that still does not have the pieces to her puzzle that she deserves. And that child is going to live on, and she's going to want those answers and need those answers. And when you hear those words, Mom, does it hurt you to hear?
Well, yes, Your Honor, it does. But I still stand firm that Mr. Dannenbrink is not her dad.
And Mr. Dannenbrink, when you heard those words, I see how emotional you are. Yeah. What are you feeling in this moment?
Don't think she is my daughter, but I'm hoping she is.
That's beautiful. I think it's time for the results. Jerome? These results were prepared by DNA Diagnostics, and they read as follows. In the case of Lindsey versus Dannenbrink, when it comes to 35-year-old Bobby Lindsay, it has been determined by this court, Mr. Dannenbrink, you are not her father.
Sorry. It doesn't matter. I consider her my daughter.
How are you feeling, Miss Lindsay? I know this was difficult for you.
Confused, but I'm happy at the same time for closure on that part.
Miss Hampton,
Yes, ma'am.
I have to ask you, do you know who your daughter's biological father is?
I still stand firm that it's another person. He would admit to photographs because he's seen photographs of her through my mother, but physically he would not admit it.
Do you know where he is?
No, Your Honor, I don't.
Do you have any way to find out?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Bido, you say you were furious when the defendant asked you for a DNA test on your 7-month-old daughter, Iliana. Yes. Now you claim that request has broken up your happy home. Mr. Bolton, you state you have reason to believe Ms. Bido's child may not be your biological daughter. You say you are desperate to discover the truth because you've already grown to love her as your own.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Bolton, this is not your first time in this courtroom.
That's not.
Here's what happened previously. So how convinced are you now that Mr. Bolton is?
I'm very convinced because I only slept with 3 men at that time.
If he is mine, I will step forward and do 110%, even better. I actually got myself involved in this young man's life. Most men wouldn't. I'm actually taking him on the weekends when it's available.
When it comes to 4-year-old Micah, Mr. Bolton, you are not his father. Mr. Bolton, so what has happened since you were last here?
Since last time I was in court, I was very devastated to find out the news about the young boy not being mine. But in the same sense, I was happy because Ms. Bido was pregnant with a child. Child supposed to be mine. See, Your Honor, here's the thing. When the baby was born, I cut the umbilical cord, the doctors wiped the baby off, and they gave Ms. Bido the baby at first. She was still fatigued from delivering birth.
Understandably.
So they gave me the baby. The doctor that gave the procedure to deliver the baby, he handed me the baby and he looked at me. He said, "Are you sure this baby's yours?" And I looked at the doctor. I'm like, "What do you mean?" He said, "Because this baby's white." I'm looking at him like, "What do you mean this baby's white?"
Jerome, have you ever heard of such?
But
That's a first for me.
this is the reason. This is the reason.
Let me see your evidence. That's a picture of...
This is a picture of Iliana when she was first born. And when the doctor made that comment, this is the reason why we're here right there.
Okay, Your Honor, let me just say this. We are, that was stupid. We're mixed. I'm Dominican and black. He's Puerto Rican and black. People in my family have different color eyes. My eyes are hazel. My father's eyes are green. He told me that when he was a young boy, when he was a baby, as a matter of fact, his eyes were blue and then they turned green. So I don't see where the doubt is. The doubt began because people continuously said, "Oh, she's white. Oh my God, she's so white. Oh, she's so white." What's wrong with that?
When the doctor asks you,
Look,
you know, before congratulations, are you sure this is your child? That's doubt.
They doubt. She mine, I know. She his, I know.
But that's what I'm saying. For the father, that can be overwhelming.
It can be overwhelming. It can be overwhelming. But you have to know your mate. And if you know that you have a loyal, faithful, loving woman, then anything anybody say,
so Mr. Bolton, did you know you had a loving, faithful, loyal woman?
I did, but that's the relationship. I mean, if you look at the baby's white.
So until you were in the delivery room, you had no doubts about Ms. Bido. You didn't feel like she was cheating.
I didn't have any doubts until the doctor said something. When we brought Iliana home from the hospital, we had friends and family come over to see the baby, then looking at the baby like, "Oh, she's beautiful, she's beautiful." Is she yours?
That's not what they said, Your Honor. What they were saying, maybe on his side, but my side, they did make some comments. But of course, I defended. That's my daughter, you know?
Yep.
So I see him all the time in her. I see a little bit of my features, but mostly I see him.
Your Honor, maybe 2 weeks when Iliana came home, the same boss that we both work for him, he came to the house and brought a stroller to the home as a gift. And he's from Alabama, he's country guy, But he looked at the baby, and he's like, Rico, is this baby yours? I look at him like, what you mean? He says, this baby's whack. So I'm like, wow.
So now the doctor, your family members,
People
and
in
your
public-
boss
Yeah, people in
are
public.
all just openly asking you.
Yeah, is this baby mine? Even when I go to the grocery store, Your Honor, when I go to the grocery store, they're looking at me, oh, it's a beautiful baby, she's gorgeous. Is she yours? No. And it's only because she's skin color, the blue eyes, it's like, wow, but
how come nobody say that when I'm around?
Even still, this has like happened before in my life. This situation here is like, when I was young, I was dating a stripper, and she had a baby. All right, she disappeared. What reason, I don't know, but when she finally came back, we figured out that baby wasn't mine. Got my name off the birth certificate, finally. Second time this has happened in my life, a young lady got pregnant, but come to find out, she was dealing with somebody that I knew. She didn't know we knew each other. She got pregnant, we talked, me and the guy, we talked, and we trying to find out what's going on. She got abortion immediately because she didn't know who the father was. And the third time was when I came on the court to find out the DNA test from Micah and found out he wasn't mine. So it's like I have strong reason to get a DNA test to figure out what's going on.
So in your lifetime, 3 times,
Yes, ma'am.
someone has claimed you're the father of their child,
Yes, ma'am.
but you weren't.
I wasn't.
And now you're here again. So, Ms. Bido, you tell me you're a faithful, loyal woman, and I have no reason at this point not to believe you. He hasn't presented any testimony that would say otherwise. However, I have to ask you, during the last couple years, how old is Iliana? She's 7 months. Last year and a half or so, have you slept with anybody else?
We actually broke up last year around August, and it was due to infidelity on his behalf.
Well, Your Honor, she was accusing me the whole time that I was cheating. I got a couple of buddies that I hang out with before. I got a couple of buddies I hang out with. They do things on the side.
Your Honor,
Now,
I
by
saw
my
the texts
association
from the females.
being with them, I'm getting accused daily. So it's like I felt like I was pressured, getting pushed to the point where I should cheat just to make you happy. Because this is what you're doing. You putting
That was
pressure
your
on me.
logic?
Yes, that was my logic, because every day she's saying, hey, you're a cheater, you're a cheater. So look, I cheated, I did, and I admit to that. She left. She left. She wanted to go stay with her
Your Honor,
relatives.
he didn't admit to cheating. I saw the texts from the female, all right, and I confronted him like a woman should. I'm gonna confront. And when I found the information, and me and the woman, we also talked, because I believe that a man will lie to you, or anyone that's gonna play that deceitful role is gonna make you believe whatever. So I talked to the woman, and I believe her. And I gave him a chance to tell his story.
She had sex with
I gave him an that's right. I did sleep with somebody, but I did it the right way. I left you first. I was single.
Hey, well, Your Honor.
And during the time you broke up and you left him, did you sleep with someone else without using protection?
I did. And let me tell you, it wasn't like that. I left him, and it wasn't like, oh, hey, I'm single, let's go party. It was more like I was hurt. It had been a month later. I just went out, hanging out, and one thing led to another. I saw a guy I liked, but we actually slept together twice. The first time was unprotected, the second time was protected, and after that, as a matter of fact, I spoke to him after that, but we never had any type of relationship or anything.
She wasn't answering my phone calls for a while. After,
Why should I?
I cheated on her, okay? So now we're working on something, trying to get back together. When we finally get back together, this is when she's admitting that, yeah, I slept with somebody.
Your Honor.
Because at first she says it's none of my business when I went to go see her.
Exactly.
Now she's telling me out of mouth, okay,
Your
this
Honor,
is what happened.
he continued to badger me about it.
She's admitted in open court that she slept with someone else one time at least without protection.
Right.
And Mr. Bolton, you believe that this man could be the father.
Yeah. When she came back together, we got together, we moved back in the same house together. But in the midst of this, she's still going out there to her family's house, doing their hair, coming back home, and guess what? Middle of the night, I pick up the phone, text messages from this guy. So I have reason to believe, like, okay, you tell me you start messing with him, I still think that you're still with him.
You saw
still
text,
messing with him.
Your Honor, he saw text messages from the guy. He never saw me respond.
It even goes to the point like
And
this.
then I did.
She delete pictures out the phone, you know what I'm saying? Because when you plug a phone into a laptop, the USB charger, the backup pictures are still in the phone. pictures of him and his baby is still there, together. So I'm like, whoa, what's going on?
Pictures of him and
His baby.
his baby
Yeah.
are in her phone.
In her phone, and it looks like this. His daughter looks like my daughter. So.
I mean, but how often is it that babies can look alike?
But Your Honor, I just want to show you this evidence right here.
Let me see that evidence, sir.
But I don't think she looks like the other man's baby.
Okay. That's Iliana, and that's me. Iliana's pink, Caucasian, white, and you see me.
Really?
I'm brown, no blue eyes. I mean, the only thing I see is a nose.
If he felt like that, Your Honor, why stay for 7 months? Why even take care of her? Why sign the birth certificate?
Your Honor.
Why is it that every time I call you, you run to her? If you felt like that, you should have been said that. You don't
Your
wait
Honor.
7 months later and then tell somebody like that, we're supposed to get married and everything. What you mean?
Yeah, but
when
Your-
he told me that, we were in the bed, and the first thing he said to me is, oh, you know I love you, right? Like, you know somebody gonna say something messed up after they say something like that. And then after that, I don't even know how we got to it. All I know is he was like, oh, I don't think she's mine. I want a DNA test. And yeah, I lost it and I wanted him to get out. So we got to
Look,
arguing,
not
and I
only
was like,
she
either
won me,
I'm
she
gonna
kicked me
leave
out.
or you're gonna leave. Yeah, you're right. I
She
did
kicked
kick
me
you
out.
out because I told him, either I'm gonna leave and go to my family, which is far from them. He was like, no, I don't want y'all to be that far from me, but she not yours, right?
You do understand that after you admitted you slept with somebody else, that fueled his doubts.
I understand that, but you can't always be moved, Your Honor, by what other people say. You have to stand upon what you see as a person. A lot of people felt like he wouldn't make it, we wouldn't make it, we wouldn't be okay. And yeah, we're going through something right now, and even him as a person, people felt like they didn't believe in him, but I believe in him. I believe in him still to this day. I believe that, you know, he is a good man and he is a good person.
Your Honor, when I first asked about the DNA test, she was really upset.
Yeah, I
She
went
did
crazy.
kick me out. She did do that. But since I'm staying other places, I come home to the house, just check on my daughter, make sure everything's okay. She tells me, put her down if you don't think she's yours. Okay?
Yeah,
So
of
I'm like-
course. Every time I
I'm
see
like-
your face, I'm gonna get mad. I'm mad now.
Why did you get upset? I'm just saying, she's a
saying
loyal
that.
female, like she said earlier. If it was such of a problem, why'd you catch an attitude when I asked for a DNA test and you knowing that I went to court last time?
Who wouldn't have an attitude when you know for a fact that you've been faithful?
Hey,
Why not?
let me look at
Okay,
your
that's
So-
fine.
Ms. Bido, it's not just about you being faithful. You have to take a person along with their life experience. That's
So
no, hold on. When you're in a relationship, that's how people come. Everybody has their own baggage, or as my granny used to say, that's his red wagon, and you
understand
got
that.
your own red
I
wagon.
understand that, Your
That's
Honor.
the things you pulling behind you
I
when you
understand that.
come into a relationship. I'm not saying that is right, Ms. Bido, but I'm telling you that is real.
I understand that, Your Honor. Here's the thing, right? When she left, her and this other guy was messing around. When she came back around, we was living together, okay? And I feel like, you know, maybe she's still been messing with this guy. Because all of a sudden, like she said, we've been together 5 years. It's the first time she ever got pregnant. She's coming back around, boom, baby. I'm like, what's going on?
All right, so
So
the
that-
timing felt strange to you as well.
Yes, ma'am.
So I've witnessed so much emotion, and that's because I know the stakes are really high today. You even submitted a video, and it really shows how committed he is to her.
What else you want to say? Say hello. Bye-bye. See y'all later. I love Iliana. Ever since she was born, you know, I always been there. From the time she got pregnant, the day in labor, hospital. I just really want to be a father to this child here. I've been there since day one. The baby
You're
shower.
worried still.
I am. Just because, yeah, my past and, you know, just
And the last time you were in
like
court,
the signs. The last time I was in court, I mean, you know, came out not yours. But the signs are there, so many people saying it. I need to be sure.
And that's what's so heartbreaking about this situation. I understand about people's past. Everybody has a past. Stop pushing rewind. Stop making other people pay for what other women did. I'm not those women. If I was like that, then I shouldn't be with anybody, because just like you hurt me and think about the 5 years we've been together, Mr. Bolton, the things that you've done to me before this, that wasn't the only infidelity, but every time you have a doubt, here I am proving myself. Why you signed the birth certificate? Why did you stay so long and then turn around and say, oh, she's not mine? Do you have any idea how that hurts? Of course I'm gonna flip out. I don't hurt you like that. And even when you hurt me, you know that I find the strength to still say something to encourage.
Whose choice is it ultimately?
It's his choice.
Yep. And who has to do that work?
He does.
Exactly. So let's get to the results, because the truth is always a great starting point.
Está bien?
These results were prepared by DNA Diagnostics, and they read as follows. In the case of Bido v. Bolton, when it comes to the paternity of Iliana Bolton, and as to whether Mr. Bolton is her biological father, it has been determined by this court. Mr. Bolton, you are her father.
Que yo dice, but what I tell you.
Iliana, can I ask Ms. Bido a question?
Yes, you may.
You don't got no questions for me.
Everything speaks for itself, because that's what you told me. Actions.
Gotta say yes.
Lola Bido. Will you marry me?
Yes.
Ms. Rubin, you and your sister are here today because you say that the defendant, Mr. Davis, the man you've always been told was your dad, is now stating that he is not your biological father. You say his actions are motivated by greed and he has torn your family apart. Mr. Davis, you claim you have legitimate reasons to deny paternity and claim to be a good man with grave concerns for the Rubins' well-being. All right, Ms. Rubin, when did the defendant start denying he was your father?
He always denied me. He always treated me differently. I just feel like he never treated me fair. With my brother and sister, he will bring things around, like one Christmas, he bring a whole bunch of toys around, get them toys on top of toys, and then tell them, oh, play with your sister. Never brought me anything, always treated me differently. It's just, he never showed no love towards me. I'm always the one that was begging for his love when he was just giving all his love to both of them. And I felt like that was wrong.
And how did you feel about it?
I didn't like it at all, because that was my little sister. I mean, we all his kids. Why he just won't do for her, but do for us?
And you noticed this. You could see this as a child.
Yeah.
Now, Mr. Davis, is this true?
Yes, it is.
It is?
It is.
That's a shame.
And
Okay.
I'll tell you why, Your Honor.
Yes, please.
The reason why I treated Cheryl the way I treated her, because her mother slept around.
You was a liar.
Your mother did sleep. Okay, first of all, neither one of you all was in there when it started, okay? She had 3 kids before I met her.
Okay,
she had
don't
you
mean
3,
she slept around.
supposedly
She
had
was
you 3
way
with
up
me,
first.
and now she has
don't mean
how
she
many
slept
more after
around.
me?
She was
I
way
get a
up
grand
first.
total of 13.
Come on, you ain't did
13
nothing anyways. You
Ladies and gentlemen.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, in order for me to be able to understand what has happened, I have to be able to hear what has happened. And I can't understand you when you're all talking over one another.
You're right,
Mr. Davis, you believe their mother had slept around and was unfaithful to you. You were in a relationship at the time, which caused you to then doubt whether or not you were her father in particular.
Not necessarily her.
All the children?
You're correct. You're correct.
Okay. Did you express this concern to her?
No, I didn't express it to her.
You
no.
just always kept it to yourself?
I kept it to myself.
Mr. Davis, I need to know from you whether you ever were in all of their lives as a father. Were you ever just there?
No. Were you talking to me?
I was talking to you.
Then shut up.
Now you
No.
You shut up.
Mr. Davis, first of all, I control this courtroom. Now, you can take it to the street and you'll be out on the street. Because we're not going to act a fool in here. Now, you came to get some answers, and I'm going to try to give it to you. Don't think for 1 minute that I am minimizing the pain and the anguish and the the absolute frustration that I see all of you feel. But unless you give each other a chance to talk, we cannot get down to the facts. You want answers, you gotta let them talk. Might not be what you want to hear, but at least you know. What would make a man go to the store and get toys for 2 of 3 children and walk into a house and disappoint a child for no reason? You should have brought her a toy if she wasn't your child, if she was your enemy's child. You should have brought her something because she's a child. That's what I want you to try to explain to this court.
As I said before, their mother slept around. She slept
Okay.
around. When we first got together, when I first met her, she was working at a restaurant. That's when I first spotted her. Of course, being the man that I am, okay, and I'm not gonna say I was an angel, because I wasn't.
Okay.
You know, I slept around too before I met her.
Okay.
So, you know, it wasn't like I was a deadbeat, as they may want to presume that I was, but I was not a deadbeat. If they knew the whole picture instead of half the picture.
So when you were
I believe I was talking to the judge. I believe I was talking to the judge.
With their mother, you would have a child, but then you'd question whether or not that child was yours.
Exactly.
But then you'd end up back in the relationship
We seesaw back and forth
only
together.
to have another child.
I don't even know if that child's mine either.
Then you question if it was
Exactly.
yours.
Right. After my first child, like I said, when I met her, and she had 3 kids before I met her.
That has nothing to do with what's going on now.
You know, while we was having a relationship, I don't believe I was. I believe the judge was talking to me.
Why make broken promises then?
Okay,
Why sit right there and act like everything
that's on
cool?
me.
Like
That's on me.
graduation.
I own
That was
that.
I
That's
told
on me.
you. I said
Can I answer your question?
Can I answer your question? Everything you ever
Can I
did.
answer your question?
If you show up to my graduation,
Mr. Davis.
what did you do?
First of all, that is a lie.
Mr. Davis, let her speak. Let her speak. I want her to explain to you.
I asked you, 2005, that's the last time I seen your face. It's 2013. I asked you, I say, all you gotta do, I'll forgive you for everything you ever done wrong to me, if you doubted me or whatever the case is. Show up to my graduation. You can say I'm lying or whatever. I can tell my brother right here to vouch for it.
You told me
yes.
too.
I
So you
said
can't lie about that.
I said 2 tickets for you and Carlita.
At the end of the day, when you called to confirm or when you walked that stage, he wasn't there.
You mean when she alleged
He's
to
never
call?
been
She
there.
never called me. She never called me. Period. And
The Lord is gonna send you straight to hell with these lies.
we won't be going. I won't be going
swear
alone.
to God.
I won't be going alone.
You is
I will not be going alone.
I understand that you're saying this relationship was on and off. You were kind of out there. She was maybe cheating. But you're saying that this happened throughout the relationship. Why so much difference when it comes to Miss Rubin? Cheryl, why so much difference when it comes to her?
As I explained to you before, Anna, I had my doubts because their mother slept around, not only on me, but before me.
Why do you act that doubt out? Why is it that your doubt is projected onto her
I treated Jonathan
singly?
and Janita, I actually embraced them. Matter of fact, I treated her like gold, just like my oldest child.
If I'm your golden child, you would have been there for your golden child.
Really? Okay.
Even if you not giving up money, call, come see. Every time I talk to him, he ain't got no money to do nothing.
You never talked to me.
You know, use a lie.
No, talk to
And as
the
that,
court.
I didn't have a man figure like in my life to tell me how to treat guys. I got to treat me. So, you know, I look the guys like for love and everything. Like, again, like them 1 minute and be gone next minute. I can have sex 1 minute and be gone or whatever. It's just like he have not been there.
So you were sleeping around, you were promiscuous, you could not.
Apple don't fall too far from the
You
tree.
feel like you were looking for a father? Leave it alone and talk to me because he's showing who he is by his statements. Leave it alone. Mr. Davis, all I'm suggesting to you is as you condemn their mother, keep in mind you've already admitted to the court that you were in an on and off relationship with her for many years. So you say the apple can't fall too far from the tree criticizing her. What I'm saying to you is that you were with their mother, whether or not they're your children or not.
If you're talking about me, why you say you throwing her in?
You know, you're right. I
Obviously,
never
there's
said I was
something
an
still there that
angel.
you
I never
want.
said I did anything that was halo.
I want to hear from the plaintiff's witness. Sir, would you please state your name?
My name is Jonathan Rubin.
Hello, Mr.
How you
Rubin.
doing?
Now, you contend that you are Mr. Davis's son, am I
Yes.
correct? And you are Ms. and Ms. Rubin's brother.
Yes.
What do you have to say about this?
As far as me hearing about this DNA test, it surprised me because you asked for a DNA test and you claim I'm yours, you know what I'm saying? And then I hear that it's about disease in the family. Why would you wait after 27 years just to come to me with this? It's something you should have told me on the phone, through something. Let me know what's happening.
It's about child
Can I
support.
address
So
that,
now,
Your Honor?
disease in the family. Mr. Davis,
Okay, here's what I mean by the disease in the family. I want my kids, if they are my kids, I want them to be protected. But I at least want them to know exactly what could be coming their way, okay? I lost my father to prostate cancer. I lost my mother to sepsis.
so there are various illnesses in your family, and you are concerned.
I'm concerned for my kids because, like I said, my daddy died of prostate cancer. But he treated them
Okay.
like I'm treating
And
them. He
to-
treated me the same way.
And
so I understand
this
where they're
is
coming from.
purely altruistic. I mean, this is out of the goodness of your heart that you really want to take this
They
DNA
need to know
test.
as well as I need to know for our peace of mind, plus financially. It's been killing me. I'm not running around rolling in a Rolls Royce. I'm not walking around with no Rolex watch.
Mr. Rubin, thank you so much for your testimony. You may have a seat. Mr. Davis, were you paying the child support?
Yes, ma'am.
How long have you paid it?
I've been paying this child support since 1993.
So where's that?
I have proof to show what I've been paying. I don't know where it's going.
It doesn't know-
I went to the Children and Family Services.
Let's have some order. Ladies, how far behind do you think he
I think
is?
about $7,000.
never started.
Probably that too.
Now, Mr. Davis, are you behind in child support
Yes,
payments?
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Do you have any idea how much?
My rough guess, like I said, I have proof showing here from 2012.
What proof is that you're saying?
Okay, this proof shows the date, the last date, which is in pink, as you can see here. It says
Jerome,
the
can you hand that to me, please?
September of 2012. And it shows that airage is right there. It says 48,000. Once they update everything.
$48,000.
That's what's saying there. But like I said,
That's what he
it's probably,
paid?
the last count I got was 60,000. And I don't know where the money's going from because they garnish every check I ever gotten. I don't quit my jobs because I'm paying child support and run up to another job. I don't do that.
Probably do.
I stick up to my responsibility because that's the reason.
Carlita's paying.
I was there. Carlita's paying for me to survive.
Carlita is
That's she's paying for me
paying.
to survive. I just
Mr.
wanted
Davis,
one.
I will see this. I see small payments here throughout the years
I have
that
nothing
you've
to do
been
with how
making
the system-
payments. What I'm trying to understand is this whole issue with you and the DNA test and wanting to know whether or not you're really their father, is this really about the illnesses or is this about this huge
It's both.
child support
It is
debt?
both. It is both. It is both.
Which one
Regardless
weigh
of
the
what they
most?
want to say,
Child support.
and neither one outweighs the other.
I would like to hear
I
from
go
your
to the
wife.
doctor.
Please step up to the podium, ma'am. State your name.
My name is Carlita Davis.
Hi, Miss Davis.
How are you doing?
So please tell me this child support situation and this huge debt that
Yes.
he owes. Are you aware that he was making these payments?
The point of it is they take it. I've been married to Johnny 22 years. Never an income tax check has came into our house. It goes to y'all. I don't know where. I filed with my husband, with my 3 children that I have. They took it. It took me 3 years to fight to get back $700 for my
your
3
refund.
children, of my money. This is what I'm saying.
But if,
I don't
they
know.
are
shouldn't
his
have to.
children,
It's not
if in
you.
fact they
It's
are
me.
his children,
Yes.
he should be paying
And
child support.
I don't knock him not paying it. But what I'm saying to you is they take it out the check. They take the income tax. I mean, if I didn't work, he wouldn't have anywhere to stay.
Thank you so much,
Wait,
Ms.
can I
Davis,
ask
for
a
your
question
testimony.
first?
Well, actually, you're supposed to ask the question to the court or talk to the court, not to
sorry.
her. But
Well-
what is it that you are curious about?
Because I want to know, because she ain't never lied to me, not one time in my life.
So you have a good regard
Are you
for
here
Ms. Davis?
because it's child support? Be honest.
No, darling. I'm not just here because of child support. No, and I
Now,
would
I
just
got
tell
love for you.
and
You
I
lying
got
to
love
me?
for you too.
Right,
and
well,
I'm not
anything
gonna lie.
against you, Carlita,
I
it's
know.
just Johnny.
I know.
It's not
What's
you.
the matter, Cheryl?
It's not you.
Cheryl, I see when you were speaking to Ms. Davis, you were more emotional than when you were speaking to Mr. Davis.
She treats me right.
Okay.
When he treated me differently from both of them, she was the person right there. Don't do her like that. Show her love. Treat her the same way. She was always the mediator. So of course I love her. I got a lot of love for her.
This has really hurt you. I can see that.
It pisses me off. It does.
There is no child that should have to go through what you went through. Like I said, I don't care if you were his enemy's child. There should have been a toy there for you as well.
True.
Because you were a child. I want you to tell Mr. Davis, why do you have those tears? What is that hurt specifically? Let him know what that is.
That's how you gonna treat them two just so holy? And she didn't even care. She didn't even want to be around you. I'm the one chasing after your love. Then you get up here and you want to act like all this never happened. Come on, dude, miss me with all that.
I know that's right.
Come on. As far as a relationship, any of that, all that's out the door. I don't want to talk to him, lose my number. Don't try to contact me. None of that. I don't want none of it.
Mr. Davis, those are really strong words to hear from two women that could potentially be your daughters.
It hurts. It does. And I was wrong. I'm not saying I was right. Nothing I did to Cheryl was right. I should not. You're right, Iliana. If I run the one toward, but I was not thinking like that. I was young. I was not thinking. I didn't use my head. I used the, but I didn't use the right head. I did not use the right head when I came to see her. But if they did not, there's nothing I could do. I did make an effort.
I'd like to have you step to the podium, please. And I think it's time for us to learn the results so that all of us can finally know whether or not you two are family. All of you are family, I should say. Jerome, do you have the first envelope?
Your Honor.
So we've administered a test for each child because you said you have doubts about all three.
Yes.
And this first test relates to Jonathan Rubin. In the case of Jonathan Rubin, it has been determined by this court that Mr. Johnny Davis, you are his father.
Yeah, I never had no doubts in that one.
Mr. Davis, you told me you had the doubt on every child.
I said I was having all of them tested because I had doubts in their mother. That's the reason why I said I was having them tested.
But so that means you had doubts about Jonathan.
Yes, that's what you said.
I was there. Jonathan was there. I had to have. I mean, it was all three of them. Okay.
The doubt has now been put to rest for Jonathan. Moving on. As it relates to Miss Janita Rubin, it has been determined by this court that Mr. Davis, you are the father. So this can be a laughing matter maybe to you, but I am hoping that you can support your sister Cheryl.
Yes.
Because she's the one that always felt different. Because this is a big moment for her, and you deserve to know. Jerome, please. In the case of Cheryl Rubin, this court has determined that you are her father.
You already knew that. Already knew that.
What up? What up? What up? What up? What up? What up? Child support. Here I come.
I don't worry about it. Come with it.
Yeah.
It's continuing. They ain't stopped yet. So why should it stop now?
You're doing this, and I want you to do this.
Just know you losing.
Good. Now I got something to show the judge.
So therefore, it's like you got one.
Copy of that.
I find it interesting that you're reducing this now to the child support. That now it's all about just pay the money and we don't have anything to do with you. But the emotions that I saw displayed earlier today, it didn't have anything to do with the child support. You all were talking about how he wasn't there.
Yeah.
What you came in here believing as truth is truth. Mr. Davis is your father, all three of you. One thing the court can't order is for you all to get along and act maturely and try to have a relationship.
Exactly.
But what I can encourage you to do is to make apologies for the things you know you did wrong by these children, because at the end of the day, they are only here because you made them.
Exactly.
And all they wanted from you was love and attention, what every child wants. There's so much going on here, and only you can start making amends for this and start changing it. I wish you the best. Court is adjourned.